Welcome in, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. So in this week's episode, I'd like to continue with my ongoing series on how to get unstuck. So this is a series that I decided to work on where, I want to cover different strategies, techniques that I use in my formal meditation practice and informal meditation practice to help me get unstuck, basically. When I get stagnant in my practice, or I don't feel like I'm making progress, or I'm struggling with consistency, or just not enjoying practice. So part of this is to normalize being stuck. I think, it happens to all of us. And, sometimes we might think we're stuck or stagnant when we're actually not. And sometimes we might think we're not stagnant when we are. So there's an art to that as well. But either way, I think generally most of us know when we feel stagnant, and it can be more difficult to show up to the meditation cushion. We can, if we don't remedy that stagnation, we can start to resent meditation and sometimes even, quit or stop. So I decided to offer this series to help you out so you don't have to quit or stop. You can try some different techniques, practices, ways of working with stagnation to open it up, right? So please go ahead and watch some of my previous videos, or if you're listening to my podcast, you can find the episodes. Just search in my channel, How to Get Unstuck, and you'll see all of them there. So today I'd like to talk about cultivating relaxed awareness. The reason I thought of this in this series is because it's probably one of the main ways I practice to help me sustain a practice. And what I mean by that is sometimes I can get stagnant or overwhelmed when I'm pushing too hard in practice, or I'm really trying to get somewhere. I have some kind of goal in mind, or what I should be feeling or experiencing. Or sometimes I have a really nice meditation experience from time to time, and then, I get attached to that and try to chase that. So it can come in all sorts of forms. Maybe we had some mind-blowing opening, a year ago, and we've been chasing that for a year. So in my experience, those kinds of things aren't so helpful to hold on to. I mean, it's nice to take joy in that something nice happened to us, but we don't want to hold on to it. And one of the ways I deal with that is just kind of letting things be in meditation, learning to cultivate relaxed awareness, as we're going to talk about. But also relaxed awareness is connected to an attitude of, whatever comes in the practice, whatever happens. I'm just working with growing a connection to my mind, what the truth of reality can be, and growing compassion and love. So there's this connection to an ongoing effort and taking baby steps towards that. Sometimes we'll take larger steps and leaps, but most of the time it's baby steps. And I think those baby steps are often, not necessarily disregarded, but sort of, we don't take them that seriously, or we don't think about them often. But most of the progress we're making over the years in meditation in our Dharma path is because of those baby steps. So we often grow slow and with, effort. So what does effort look like when it's more at ease, when it's more relaxed? So in some previous episodes, you can find different guided meditations and practices on grounding into the body and finding more groundedness or calm in the body. And these are important preliminaries for working with relaxed awareness. So I would say, go ahead and go search for those practices. I also just guided a relaxed awareness meditation. It was my last episode, so you can go and search for that as well, and that'll help facilitate what we're going to talk about here. So in general, relaxed awareness doesn't mean we're relaxed. So ironically, it doesn't mean you have to be relaxed. It means that we're applying a kind of effort that's relaxed, right? So we're not pushing in the practice. We're not trying to squeeze concentration or, squeeze awareness. If we lose awareness, no big deal. We can re-recognize it. We can reconnect to it and then keep on in the practice. So I think of it more as an attitude, an intention, a way of being with practice. But also when the body is grounded, when we're grounded in our feet, in our seat, the wind energy in the body is settled, right? So we don't have lots of anxiety and overwhelm. It's much easier to connect with this because we can just simply rest with awareness in the body. So as I said, there are important practices to do, including breathing practices I've introduced to help settle the energy in the body. And this all facilitates more ease, more groundedness as we practice. But also we need to remember a consistent, relaxed effort, right? So of course, we all want to make progress on our meditation, but what does that even mean? In Buddhism, that means cultivating a view. So we have a view that we study and we grow, and we've grown an intention towards that, the view of awakening. And so we meditate to discover that. We meditate to peel away or let sort of resolve or dissolve all of the reification and clinging that keeps us stuck in pain, dissatisfaction, uncomfort, and suffering, right? And basically it keeps us stuck in a way of being and viewing ourselves in the world that's stagnant. So Buddha Dharma is quite clear. We meditate for that reason, to be more free or awake or enlightened, as we call it, to move towards that for the benefit of all beings. So the view is that, and then of course there's lots of mini views within different practices, but that often shifts the process because when we have this more long-term goal that's going to take some time, we can treat the practice, as something we're working with in a sustainable way. So relaxed effort also means we're bringing our A game if we can. We're bringing right effort and, some joyfulness in that effort and some diligence in the practice. But we're doing it in a sustainable way that we can grow over time, and we're not going to get burned out. So what this can mean practically is growing an intention similar to what I just shared. And if you don't have a connection with that, it's fine. But if you're interested in it, you can study it. It's in the teachings on bodhicitta. And we can develop an intention of bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta. But also that's based on an understanding of the Four Noble Truths and understanding our predicament. And so strangely enough, through understanding that, we can, which sometimes is the opposite of relaxing because it's quite, disturbing when we understand the predicament we're really in. But we also understand that there's a way to remedy that, right? That there's a way to cut the root of suffering. And as we meditate, we start to gain an understanding that this is going to take some time. And if we're too pushy, often that could subvert efforts. No, pushy or not pushy, right effort, all of that can be actually personal, meaning like we don't all have the same speed limit with this kind of thing. But I've noticed for me, what really serves my practice is just allowing awareness to be light, allowing that connection to be light, and connecting with it more often throughout the day, right? So I might do formal meditation, cultivating it more intensely, but I'll try to click into awareness throughout the day if I can be mindful of it and remember it, and do this in a way where I'm not necessarily trying to get anywhere. I'm just trying to grow familiarity with that. And then, of course, familiarity with the Dharma and, looking at life and looking at the nature of how my mind interprets life. So again, there's many ways to talk about this. But just to stay on topic here, it's kind of this way of working in a, it's not quite gentle, it's just a consistent but sustainable way. So I don't know what that looks like for you. I know what that looks like for me. But cultivating relaxed awareness has been a big part of that. Before I, realized it was a very, very helpful way for me to meditate and cultivate informally as well. I would get really tense in meditation, push to some sort of idea of what I thought I should feel or accomplish at the end of a certain session. And that actually left me worse off. It made me tense in meditation. My anxiety just generally got worse over time. My body felt tense, other kinds of symptoms that weren't so great. And the practice actually didn't improve. So then I found meditations on more open awareness, or what we call shamatha without support. So I guided that a little bit in the last episode. And really these encourage a sense of being and not blocking. So already there's something more relaxed because we don't have to put ourselves in a box and block the world or life out. We learn to incorporate that, which has its own challenges, but it's worth it. We don't block sound. We don't block what we're seeing, smelling, tasting, sensing. We don't block the thinking mind, right? So in meditation, there's actually no problem with thoughts. The problem is thinking, right? Because thinking is what gets us caught up in the past and future and takes us out of awareness. But a thought arising doesn't have to be a problem. So we learn to see thoughts just like a sound that arises. So if someone honks their horn outside of the place we're living or meditating, we hear the horn, but the horn arises quickly and then the sound goes away, right? So in the moment, it might be shocking, but it's just arising and falling, arising and falling. So the same thing with things that pass through our field of vision, smells that arise, as well as thoughts. And of course, things can hang around longer, but we're not hooking into them. So being relaxed with awareness helps to do that. So what do I mean by awareness? So I define it in quite a few of my videos, but here awareness is this quality of mind that not only knows what's arising, but it knows the perception is happening. So sometimes we call this a double knowing. So it's like a knowing that the knowing is happening. So it sounds more technical in words than it is, and probably you've already experienced awareness through mindfulness practice or whatever. I usually refer to it as some kind of bearing witness, watchfulness, or observing. But it's not a cold observer. We're also with the experience, right? But we're observing in the sense that we know we're knowing something. We know it's happening, and we're sustaining a connection to that awareness. So when we do that in a relaxed way, it just means we're not pushing the awareness. The awareness is just natural. All we have to do is click into it or remember it, essentially. And then we strengthen the muscle of connecting with awareness. We can sometimes say we're strengthening awareness, but these days I view it a little bit more like we're strengthening our connection to it. It's already there. We're all born with it. It's just a part of mind. But often we don't strengthen the connection unless we meditate. It's normally when we focus on something, so we can have a lot of concentration or focus. Let's say when we're, doing a task on the computer or listening to a piece of music, anything that kind of your attention gets really narrow and focused. So often we develop focus throughout life, especially if we want to be skillful at something or good at our job or whatever. But focus is not awareness, right? Focus is an element of the mind, but awareness is much broader than focus, okay? So first we need to get clear the difference between attention and awareness. And that'll happen as you meditate, right? Awareness is this bigger watchfulness that's happening. And then we simply just click into that. We stay with that gently. And then of course we're going to lose awareness. We're going to get caught or hooked into a thought that turns into thought rumination or thinking. And then at some point we'll realize that. And then we'll say, wait, I'm caught in that. And that I'm caught, that's awareness, right? And so once that happens, we're already back in the meditation. So there's nothing more you have to do when we're not using an object to focus on, like the breath, right? So we're simply back in awareness, and we just continue to sustain that gently. So that's another part of relaxed awareness practice. We're sustaining gently. We still need to do something to cultivate it and be with awareness, be with the present moment, be aware of present moment, be aware of mind experiencing present moment, the present moment, etc. But we're doing that in a much more relaxed way. So there's effort, but it's relaxed. So as I said earlier, this kind of practice really helps me to get out of a rut or to get unstuck, because mainly it helps me to feel at ease in my body, to cultivate more awareness, which helps me in all sorts of Dharma practice. And then, there's kind of less of this sense of like, I need to get somewhere quick. I need to sort of, I don't know how to say it, this pushiness that can come in when we're too attached to our idea of what we should be achieving or feeling. So for me, it helps a sustainability that just day by day helps me to feel more joy in my meditation. Like I look forward to my practice, not because it's easy or because I feel good all the time in it, but because I know I'm cultivating wholesome mind states and I'm doing it in a way that's sustainable. Okay? So I think I'll leave it there. And as I said, if you haven't checked out the rest of the series, there's a lot of topics like working with aspirations, working with devotion in practice, things like that. And just as always, I invite you to comment here if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening to my podcast through Spotify or some other means, reach out to me at my website, scotttusa.com. Let me know if this is resonating. And also, what kinds of things help you to get unstuck when you get stagnant in your practice? Maybe I can take on some of those topics and say more. So yeah. So thanks so much. Wishing you all the best.